Awful hard to beat fresh picked radishes out of your own garden. Doesn't get any better than that as far as I'm concerned. Growing your own food rather than expecting the government to give it to you. But you're here for a story. Getting the candy truck ready to go again. You bet. These are 20-hour days, 7 days a week for 90 days at the swimming pool. You bet. And it's an honor to do it and a blessing. And the ability to still do it after 32 years. Part of the reason I'm there is not to sell a 25-cent snow cone that cost me 40 cents, but rather to get close to the kids so that I can do some common sense and preach a little bit of safety, like what the recluse spider looks like. I give them a picture of it and explain to them the dangers. If a spider is on you that looks like that, brush him off. Don't slap him, because he still may live long enough to bite you too. 5 kids were bitten just a few years ago here in McCook, so I try to push anything that looks like and could be possibly dangerous to them. You bet. All sorts of common sense to try to give the young people, primitive and useful skills in today's world. One of the things that I also preach to the older young gentlemen when they stand around the candy truck, and a young lady walks by, long since has she shedded her heavy coat of the winter. And as she gets out of earshot, quite often they'll say things of what they'd like to do to that young lady. And I tell them, you realize what you're wanting to do, the 15 seconds, or 20, that you're inside that woman might cost you $100,000 in child support for the next 18 years. You really think that 15 seconds is worth $100,000 to you? And I say, that's not your only worry though. Not your only worry, because I said there's diseases out there they can't cure anymore. And you're dead, or you are so debilitated that your life will hardly be worth living. And it'll sure guarantee that you will not have a normal life, a family life, if you will. And it doesn't end there. I had a young gentleman over at Norris Park standing there, kind of the hood, if you will. Man drove up, jumped out and grabbed him, threw him against a tree, started slamming him against a tree and saying, if you ever ask my daughter for a date again, I'm going to kill you just for asking for a date. You bet. Of course, I leaned out and after he'd slammed me against the tree a few times, I said, I think he gets the message. The guy then wanted to fight me, and I told him, you don't want to fight me because I don't fight fair. I don't fight fair. And he finally left because I said, the cops will be coming any time and you really don't want to get busted for roughing up a minor. But if you think that you can mess with a girl, remember there might be a father behind her that has no sense of humor. None. And that don't count the moms. And I had a mother. She came over to the candy truck one day and she was bragging that she had a near new home that she'd bought here in McCook. Half an acre of property, ground around it, a half acre. She said, I'm going to put a 6-foot tall, high fence, chain link fence all the way around that property. And I said, that's going to cost a lot of money. And she said, I don't care. And I said, okay. She then said, I'm going to put no trespassing signs all the way around that property. And I said, well, I don't know if the people living around you is going to think that's very neighborly. I don't care, she said again. And then she said, if I ever catch a boy coming onto my property, I'm going to kill him, because no boys in this town are ever going to mess with my daughter again. And I said, well, that might be a good idea, but if you kill a boy just for crossing your property line, kill him dead, you're going to jail, more than likely prison, for a long time. And how are you going to protect your daughter if you're in prison? And how are you going to enjoy the new home you've just purchased if you're in prison? She didn't like my advice, but be that as it may. So before you start looking at a young lady as a sex toy, you might want to think twice and use some common sense and get out of the Stone Age mentality that a woman should be your slave. Rate this film.